Hi there, I'm Alex Feisley. I'm the CEO of Gravital, and I'm here today to give you a quick demonstration of how to set up dual stack networking as well as private DNS on top of WireGuard using Netmaker. And these are two things that can be a little bit challenging, especially if you're trying to do it dynamically, but Netmaker makes it quite a bit easier. So let's go ahead and set that up. So I'm just going through the quick start guide on our GitHub, which is linked in the description. And I've already gone ahead and gone through these prereqs. And the one thing to keep in mind is if you're running with CoreDNS, there's a couple extra steps you'll have to do just so that you can use port 53 on the server where you're running. But I've gone ahead and done that. So all I have to do is run sudo docker compose up. And that should be it to get Netmaker up and running. So if we run a docker yes, we see everything is running there. We can run docker logs for DNS, and it's good and going now. And that's it. So let's go ahead and go here where we previously had nothing running, and we should have our UI now. So now we can log in. And we have a default network. And we're going to go ahead and create a new one and call it dual stack. Let's give that address range. And we're going to make it dual stack. So it has a default address range here you can use. And there we go. We've started off with our dual stack network. Let's start by adding our server to it. So we're adding our server. And it is now in there. So if we go ahead and run a su WireGuard show, we now have the dual stack network. If we run IPA, you will see we have IPv6 there. So it's not very useful on its own, so let's go ahead and add some other machines. So I'm on Linode here. We're going to go ahead and add a key. Let's call it my key. And we're going to give it 1,000,000 uses. Just for the fun of it. So I can deploy this on 1,000,000 machines if I want. So let's go ahead and install. And let's take a look. There we have it. The Keep Alive is running, it's connected, and it has an IPv6 address. So let's go ahead and ping that. This is our server. And there we go. Let's go ahead and try on another server. So this is running in Vultr. And we just run that same command again. And there we go. WireGuard show, we've got both of our peers there. If we check over here, they'll show up in a minute. But if we go back to nodes, I'm just gonna relabel these guys real quick because I wanna be able to remember them. So I'm gonna call this guy Linode. And I'm going to call this guy Vultr. And then there we go. Let's run another WireGuard show there. We've got both of our endpoints. And just for one more test, let's go ahead and ping Vultr from Linode. And there we go. We should also have IPv4. Perfect. Now let's try one other thing. So that thing is called Vultr. Let's try pinging Vultr at dual stack. So how's that working? Because that's our private DNS. Well, over here in our DNS section, you can see it added all of our node names by default. So if we wanted, we could also ping Netmaker. And there we go. Now let's say I want to add in some custom DNS. Everything's going to get this dual stack appended to it because that's the name of our network. And I can choose a node if I want to add to it. So let's say we have on Vultr some API running, and we're going to call it api.dualstack. So let's add that. And that should take a minute to update. It's going to do a hot reload of CoreDNS with that new value. And then that's got to populate over to here. But with any luck, let's see if we've got that yet. And there we go. We're actually ready to go. So that's all it takes. And I can go ahead and remove that if I want. So we have one less entry to look at. And that's really all you got to look at. You can add and remove entries at will. You get your default for all your nodes. And you can manage your private DNS that way. If you want, you can also deploy Netmaker without the DNS entries, and that will turn it off on the clients as well. The clients are using Resolve CTL to manage DNS. So currently, your servers must have Resolve CTL in order to use this. We're going to expand that in the future, but if not, you'll need to add the name server manually. That name server is just going to be wherever you're running Netmaker on port 53, because that's where CoreDNS is. So you have one more name server, and it works for a private TLD for each of your networks. So you'll have that for default as well. And that's it. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this quick demonstration of setting up dual stack networking as well as private DNS on top of WireGuard.